okay in moderation. You can come here and still feel...
I do it myself. I'm
Right.
in a business where I do all the things. Like, the sunlight makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I just had
And I wouldn't be here if I didn't support your business.
Mentally, physically, how can I work 7 days a week, have 2 kids, and running around and doing all these things, helping my parents that are seniors, and if I didn't have the sunlight, I wouldn't be able to function and keep going 7 days a week like that all day. Every
So the
day.
sunlight really helps you. I mean,
Gives me a boost. I wake
Sure.
up in the morning, I come here, I do a suntan, and all of a sudden it's like I charge my batteries.
Okay.
And I have tons of clients that come in for that. We have naturopaths that send us clients,
Sure.
and a whole bunch of people that are trying different things instead of like pharmaceuticals to give them the boost and stuff.
Yeah.
They'd rather try to do it in a natural way with a light. And people say, "Oh, Tane, but how natural is that?" I go, "Well, it's a
simulator.
It's a tube of gas. You got a positive charge,
Yeah.
charge, or you get the sunlight, which is a ball of gas."
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
it emits UVA and UVB light, so there's no magnetic ballast. That was the biggest concern of the whole suntan industry back then, was magnetic ballast, but they used to have them in all the office buildings and school buildings.
Yeah.
back then,
No, I remember that.
Yeah, so all our equipment is electronic ballast, so we don't have any of the magnetic stuff.
Okay. So Chris just went into a whole shitload of kind of tanning bed research and talks about, and of course you can tell us something he's passionate about. This has been your life's work in a sense, right?
Yeah,
So
it's been over 22 years.
22 years in the sunbed industry. Obviously, you've evolved into hair salon as well as the laser's huge right now too, right?
The hair
You're doing
removal. Yeah.
Hair removal. So
Yeah, we have so many people that have unwanted hair in areas where they feel embarrassed. They don't feel good about themselves, and they can come in and do some treatments, and
yeah.
it'll remove that hair.
Have you ever had any guy come in like? I know there's some confidentiality stuff here, but has anybody ever got like their nutsack whack or laser or anything?
Well, you can't touch that area, but you can go as close as possible.
What about like the actual like ass?
Which is fine because
That's okay.
Well, I was surprised when we did a couple of specials on the amount of Brazilians.
Yeah.
Which is like the full
Right.
throttle.
So okay. So when is it mostly?
It was
women?
like 90. It was like 95% Brazilians when we did this ad for this special on laser hair removal.
Really?
And I was like surprised, and people would walk in and see me behind the desk, and they go, "Are you doing the treatment?" And I'm like, I go, "I am certified, but I have staff for that."
I would love to sat back here and come with me. Just so creepy.
Would,
yeah. But okay, so there's women, and this is a permanent removal, right? I mean,
it's hard. What happens is you have dormant hair follicles under the skin.
Yeah.
And so the hair that you treat, that is going to be gone. But what happens is through life changes, hormones, age, you'll start to get those dormant hair follicles that'll pop up, and people would just assume that it's their hair growing back. But it's not. It's just different hair.
Really?
That's just been under the skin and sitting there.
Interesting. So,
and that's the misconception where people think, "Oh, my hair is growing back," where it's not. But we've had great results, and we've sold a lot of these memberships.
Yeah. Good. So, is it mostly women coming and getting these Brazilians?
Yes, but we're getting men for their backs.
Men for Brazilians, I'm asking. Have you had any men for Brazilians?
We've had a couple, yeah.
For laser, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Okay, good to know. So I can come in here sometime and get a Brazilian if I want.
Your hair's a little...
Oh yeah, that's the thing, right?
You have light hair, so that...
The light hair is the problem.
You don't really know, but it could react to yours, but you don't really know until you try it.
Right, there you go. What are you looking at back there? Chris is single as well, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Am I saying that, or is that true or no?
I'm gonna have to figure this out.
Okay. Maybe he's not. So it's one of those Facebook like it's complicated situations.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the relationships. We talked about your business, and people are kind of like, yeah, we get it. Now let's talk about Chris, the man, and some of the stuff that you've gone through with relationships, because I know that hasn't been easy for you either. Probably a big reason why some of your profits from the tanning industry has been distributed between McCabe's and Barney's, and right? Am I right?
They've helped.
Yeah, sure.
They've helped with some of the process.
Okay, so let's talk about...
When I was married...
You were married. You have a daughter.
2004, yeah. I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah, from that marriage?
Yeah. And we separated 2011, and at that time I still had 2 salons that I was running back and forth, trying to get that stuff going, plus everything else that happens in a divorce.
Did the businesses play a part in the marriage falling apart, do you think? Or?
I was working lots, but because it's never consistent when you're self-employed. You have businesses. You don't have that exact paycheck and your raise and that kind of, everything depends on you or something that happens in the industry or the negative media effects that were happening at the time. But we separated for different reasons, not like what anybody would think. It was just we just drifted.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that happens.
Different lifestyles. And we were both very social, but when I was married, people didn't see me as often as what what it was like before, and then the after. There's the
transition. Yeah.
So I was a family guy. I was married, had a house in the suburbs.
Did you?
Dogs.
Yeah. Did you go out much at that time?
We would go out together.
Okay, so you and your wife would go out to...
Yeah, we'd go for dinner.
Yeah.
Meet up with friends and stuff like that. But it was a different level, being home by like 11, 12 instead of closing the bar down.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of closing the bar down, sure. Different mentality.
Yeah.
So after that, how did that like affect... How does a divorce affect your business and how do you keep the mindset to keep moving forward after going through something like that?
Well, it was difficult. It was something that I didn't really want at the time. I'm the kind of guy that tries to make things work out.
Right, so you didn't really want to divorce. So was it her that gave you the papers? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how that whole thing works.
We talked about it. We were living at home together, and she was still living in my house after she decided to leave, but she still had to find another place and with our daughter and stuff like that. So,
it must have been tough.
Yeah, there was like 3 months of us still in the same house after
you decided that it was...
I like to say we decided, but...
Right.
But,
so you wanted to make it work. Unfortunately, that wasn't really in the cards.
Yeah.
And then, so how did you...
So I just...
I read
a lot of books because I was sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
We had like a big open concept.
What book helped you the most? Do you remember?
What was that one? That Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Okay. All right then.
It was
the one that helps you regardless of what it is. Okay.
A little Plato.
Yeah.
The Odyssey. Some long books just to keep me kind of like when I came home. I still came home after work at that point while we were still living together. It was one of those things that it was.
Yeah.
Just thought, you know what, this is not the time to like head out on the town. So.
Yeah. So did you ever hope like? Because I know I've been in that situation too, where you're kind of like, it's awkward, right? Because someone's picking up their things, you're seeing them. You're still going to see them, right? So it's almost like...
so we're still there, but you still have to be civil. We have a baby at that point. My daughter was a year old at that time.
How old is she now?
She's 7.
7 now. She's a year older than my daughter.
Yeah. So it's like, you do it for the kid, and but just you just get the point where you're like, it didn't really come into like reality until like you come home that day when everything's moved out, when they finally and that's when you're like,
and you no longer see her there anymore. All of a sudden it's real.
And then that's when I just walked over to the bar section of the house and grabbed a bottle of a Glenmorangie scotch
and never look back. So I mean, at that time, what do you do? So how old were you when you became single again? Because, I mean, you're still a young guy, but you're not as young as you would have been to be able to bounce back.
Like I was 42.
42 when you got divorced?
41. Yeah, just turning 42.
How many years of marriage?
6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to do the math in my head. How does a 42-year-old... get back into the single life? Like, how did you deal with that?
It was difficult. I thought it was going to be...
There's no Tinder back then or anything like that, right?
It wasn't my style, so I'm more of like just being out socially.
I
just thought it was all over. I'm going, okay, this is it. I got my daughter, which is great, and I'll do everything for her, but I just didn't think there'd be much of a social life that way, especially how London, Ontario is. It's a little more conservative.
Sure.
You're in some bigger cities like Toronto or New York where you're out in your 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
This doesn't make a difference. But
here it's kind of like, it's a little more separate. You know who's going to be at the bars.
Yeah.
You know who's not going to be at the bars.
And for different age groups, right? Like you get criticized being out. They're going, oh, look, this guy. But then... I don't know, I was exercising more. I was doing my infrared sauna that I just got at the time, and I was feeling pretty good. And I went out on the town a couple of times, and it just it came back like riding a bike. But
yeah, you did, like riding a bike. Okay, So you got through it, obviously.
Yeah. And
How has your dating life been since like what does a divorce do in terms of trying to date again? Because I know you have a second child with another woman, right?
Yes. Right.
And I've met both your baby's, moms, baby mamas, right? And they're both, from what I can see, beautiful people.
Yeah, they're both very nice.
Right? Obviously, every relationship has their problems.
Well,
right?
obviously, because we went to being together in the first place. So I'm not that guy that's going to say, oh, it's awful now, and they were so awful. No, everything was fine. It was just, you drift and you have differences. And some people can deal with their differences, and some people can't.
So do you think that like, after that first divorce, do you think that your outlook on relationships has changed? Or are you a little more...
I'm a little less tolerant with things.
Okay.
There were things at the time where you let things slide over in a relationship, we're in love, and some things that bother you, you just kind of let go.
Yeah.
And you just kind of... But I find that they just build up.
Right. So now you're kind of nip it in the ass.
I just
right
say
away.
what I feel, and without having to worry about it. And then if it's a problem, then people should be able to talk about the problems and say, let's find a solution, like somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Instead of just, okay, baby, okay, and then all of a sudden there's a bigger problem.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously you know what you want and what you don't want at this point in time.
Yeah.
Is that safe to say?
Yeah,
Are you willing to compromise? Because I know that you can be a stubborn guy. Can we admit that?
Yes.
Okay.
As most business people are.
As most business, sure. I can still tell you've got the entrepreneur mindset, because even in that story, you whipped it right around to the salon, the sauna that you have, right? So
that's what I was doing.
Of course.
It felt good.
And you know what, dude? That's never a bad thing, right? You're passionate.
I just tell you about the things that I like to do, and fortunately, they're part of.
They're part of your how you make profit.
I tell everybody else that came in with the hairdressers and stuff. I go, this is like a lifestyle here.
Yeah, it is like a lifestyle here. I love it in here.
It's not like a sterile, like full clinical type thing. We want people to be relaxed when they come here. We don't want them to come in and be nervous and we spend most of our day here. We talk with the rest of the girls, and I say, this is what we do for most of the day.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be like fun? Like it'll be serious to professional, but it needs to be somewhere where it'll be sustainable to be able to put the hours in.
Sure. And it's nice to have some women here with the mindsets that they do, because when you're in a shitty space, I'm sure that helps, because I know these women, and they can definitely bring you out of a shitty space.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I come in here when I come from my restaurant, and I walk in here. Sometimes I have issues there, and I walk in, and it's like chaos, and I'm still have it in my head, and I'm rushing around, and I'm trying to deal with stuff from over there, and then they're like going, hey.
So you mentioned the restaurant, so let's get on. You now own another business as well. So you've kind of ventured from having 2 tanning salons to 1 salon with multiple services.
Yeah, we blended everything into here.
And then at one point in time, you had started a Meatballs spaghetti shop, right? And then you kind of retook it over.
Yeah, I had a partner with that one.
Yeah.
And the partnership didn't work like most partnerships.
Okay.
We have differences, right?
Well, what about your mom? I see your mom cooking that. She seems like a pretty good partner.
Well, yeah, we have our differences.
I see those pictures sometimes, too.
The way she looks like she's ready to kill me.
Yeah. And vice versa.
But she's been in the food industry for years, like all her life. Like she's... And when I took it back right when I was having my second baby, and it was like because my old partner closed it up and didn't know what was going to happen. The lease was still in my name, and I had to figure out what I was going to do. But I was having a baby any minute,
right?
And I was trying to deal with that. And I'm like, how am I supposed to make a decision and clear decision on what I'm supposed to do? And so I ended up having to take it back, but had stalled until the baby was born before I had to go in there and get everything ready, and my mother came in there to help me put some old recipes together.
Yeah.
And then, and she's there every morning. She's like, but people will say, you got your mother in there? She's 73.
She's killing it now.
Yeah, and she's like, how do you do that? I go, she's waiting at the door with her purse every morning.
She loves it.
Yeah, she makes me
good
feel
for her.
Yeah,
different generation, right?
Oh, like workhorses, and it's like and then all of a sudden we're not working enough because we've decided to pause for a minute and look out the window. We got to put this away. You got to do this, and you got to chop some peppers.
Yeah, sure.
So.
But your family, are they your parents were new to Canada, right?
Yes.
So
my parents met here. Actually, my father was going to university in the States. And for mathematics and science, and then my mother was here because my uncles had been here for a while, They owned Spaghetti Eddies. And,
Yeah.
So my mother was here. My father was crossing through to meet some friends before he went back to Greece and met my